Right boys, so in this video we're going to talk about the possible negative and toxic side effects of using non-stick pans. So I've finally ditched my non-stick pan and I just use cast iron now. And it's taken me a while to do that because whenever I cooked with the cast iron pan, it would always stick and just ruin the meal. And I realised that it was just like a user error thing. I hadn't seasoned the pan properly. So if you have trouble using cast iron, I made a video about how to season the pan, so you might want to check that out. But now it's not a problem. The cast iron pan acts like a non-stick pan because I seasoned it about 5 times. So I've known about the possible toxic properties to do with non-stick pans for ages, but it's just a convenience that has kept me using them. But I'm sort of like going through the fundamentals. These videos that I've been making recently, hydration, breathing, just basic things. They're things that you want to learn about, do your research, come up with what you believe to be true about that thing, implement change, and then never think about it again. So for me, I've had a cast iron pan and a non-stick pan next to each other, and sometimes I'll use the cast iron, sometimes I'll use the non-stick. And to me, that's a bit like, you know, make your mind up. It's either toxic or it isn't. Do you know what I mean? I guess I was using it half the time. But, you know, in the Bible it says, be hot or cold, do not be lukewarm. I was like, that's a bit lukewarm. Either you think it's toxic or it isn't. So in this video, I'm going to go through some of the research I've done. And I should have done this ages ago and just made a decision. But now I've made the decision that non-stick pans, the Teflon coating probably is toxic and I'm not going to use it. And now I've figured out how to use a cast iron pan, so it's all good. So the question I had was, is the non-stick coating toxic or is it safe? That was my question going in, and this is the research that I've come up with. Non-stick pans are coated with a chemical called polytetrafluoroethylene, PTFE, commonly known as Teflon. So Teflon's like the brand name that it's sold under. Teflon is a synthetic material that was first created in the 1930s and is made up of carbon and fluorine atoms. One benefit of non-stick cookware, aside from the obvious non-stick properties, is it requires less oil or butter, making it a lower calorie way to cook or fry food. So with the cast iron you do have to put a load of oil or butter in. Teflon also has multiple other uses, including wire and cable coatings, fabric and carpet protectors, and waterproof fabrics for outdoor clothing such as raincoats. So whenever something's being used to like insulate cables, should you really be cooking with that? I know you could say that about cast iron pans. Cast iron is used for like all kinds of industrial uses, but that's just my first thing. I was like, it's made for cables, I don't know about that. PFOA, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. Actually, yeah, I will. Perfluorocyanoic acid is a chemical that was used in the production of Teflon coatings until 2013. PFOA has been linked to a number of health conditions, including thyroid disorders, chronic kidney disease, liver disease, and testicular cancer. It has also been linked to infertility and low birth weight. In 2006, the US Environment Agency launched the PFOA Stewardship Program, aiming to reduce the health and environmental risk associated with PFOA. And by 2013, all companies met the program's target. All Teflon products, including non-stick cookware, have been PFOA free since 2013. So what that tells me is, these companies were using a chemical that caused these issues, that were harmful. And then the government stepped in and said you need to stop using those. And then by 2013, all of the companies did that. So all that time, when those products were in service, in circulation, people were exposed to these dangerous chemicals. So that shows that you might say, well, the companies wouldn't be able to sell them. Like, companies still sell non-stick pans now, and they wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't safe. But they did up until 2013. This one chemical, they obviously didn't know, and then research come out that linked it to these problems. So that suggests to me that the current non-stick pans are still toxic. If it happened then, it's probably the same case now. So to me, that is enough proof. And you got to think, what about all the people that still have those non-stick pans with PFOA in them that they bought prior to 2013 and they don't even know? You know, they're still in circulation. People are still being exposed to those toxins. So the US government's programs suggest there that there are toxic chemicals. Although PFOA has been phased out, other chemicals are still used in the production of non-stick coatings, namely PFAS, per and polyfluoroalkylide substances. Yeah, I don't know how you say that, but you get the idea. And the health effects of these are not fully understood. These, along with other ingredients, are still under research and may pose health risks. So instead of PFOAs, now it's PFAS, and that's probably going to have the same... It might not, because they've got rid of one toxic chemical and they're trying to use something that isn't, but I don't trust that if the first one didn't work. Teflon is considered a safe and stable compound. However, at temperatures above 500 degrees Fahrenheit or 260 degrees Celsius, Teflon coatings start to break down, releasing toxic chemicals into the air. Breathing these fumes may cause polymer fume fever, and this even has a name. It's called the Teflon flu. The symptoms consist of temporary flu-like symptoms such as chills, fever and headaches. Case studies have also reported more serious side effects of exposure to overheated Teflon, including lung damage. So again, that to me has convinced me already. Yeah, it's safe unless it heats up past a certain point. And I'm specifically using the product to heat. You know, it's a cooking implement. So I'm going to expose it to high heat. So yeah, Teflon's out for me. Non-stick pans are gone based on those two things. They've admitted that they were selling a toxic product and they had to recall them in 2013. And now they're saying don't heat it up too much because it becomes toxic. And that's like common knowledge that it does at a certain temperature become toxic. And it's a pan that I'm going to use to heat. So yeah, cast iron for me. And there's even recommendations on how to minimise your risk when cooking with non-stick. So they're not saying it's safe to use. They're saying it's unsafe to use unless you do these things and then it's going to be more safe. So they're not even saying it's safe. So some of the recommendations are: don't heat an empty pan. Empty pans can reach high temperatures, potentially causing the release of polymer fumes. Make sure you have some food or liquid in the pot or pan before heating. So surely whatever was getting outgassed is just going to end up in your food. So it's saying put some food in the pan and then that will soak up the fumes. Avoid cooking on high heat. Cook on medium or low heat and avoid broiling, since this cooking technique requires temperatures above the recommended non-stick cookware. Above the recommendation for non-stick cookware. So they're saying you can buy a non-stick pan but don't get it too hot. So that doesn't make much sense to me. Ventilate your kitchen. When you're cooking, turn on your exhaust fan or open windows to help clear any fumes. Again, don't fill me with confidence that you can cook, but you've got to have a window open. Use wooden, silicone or plastic utensils. Using metal utensils can lead to scuffs and scratches on the non-stick surface, reducing the life of the cookware. Hand wash. Gently wash pots and pans with a sponge and soapy water. Avoid using steel wool or scouring pads, since that can scratch the surface. Replace old cookware. When Teflon coatings start to visibly deteriorate with excessive scratches, peeling, flaking and chipping, then they need to be replaced. So you've got to sort of implement all these things just to make the pan not toxic. And I read somewhere else, I'm just sort of throwing out different bits of research. Apparently PFAS chemicals decrease the formation of testosterone and the activity of testosterone at the testosterone receptors. These compounds found in non-stick pans are decreasing your testosterone. So at this point I'd recommend you do your own research. That was enough research for me. I'd kind of heard, you kind of know, you hear from somewhere that non-stick pans are toxic, but I'd never actually done the research. Sometimes I can just trust the, through the grapevine, the stuff that you hear. But I thought, I'll just do my research, figure it out, and then decide for myself. But that was enough for me. The government has stepped in to stop these chemicals, and even the products themselves, they're saying you can't use them at high temperatures and you've got to do these things to stop them being toxic. So at no point is anyone saying, yeah, they're 100% safe and they're not toxic. They're just saying, if you do these things, they'll be less toxic. So I'm convinced. But I would suggest you do your own research. Come up with your answer. You either think they're safe if you use them within the certain temperature range, or they're not. And then implement whatever change you're going to, whether that's carry on using non-stick pans or replace them with an alternative. And then never think about it again. Because what you don't want to do is cook with non-stick, and this is what I was doing. I was cooking with non-stick pans in the back of my mind, thinking, I wonder how toxic this is. I wonder how much this is affecting my testosterone. And that's just going to placebo affect yourself into negative symptoms. It might have been fine, but now your mind is telling it it's not okay. So if you choose to carry on using non-stick, do it with full conviction, as if it's fully safe, because you believe it's fully safe. That's why you're doing that. And that's just going to have you want peace of mind, essentially, and you don't want to be tarnishing the food you're cooking with this little niggling thing in the back of your mind that your food is now being exposed to toxic chemicals. So you don't want to waste mental energy on something that you do regularly. Every time you cook, that mental energy will be there. So at this point, if you've decided to ditch non-stick pans, then these are some alternatives. Number 1, cast iron cookware, and this is what I choose to use. When it's seasoned properly, cast iron is naturally non-stick. It also lasts a long time and can withstand temperatures well above those considered safe for non-stick pans. Number 2, stainless steel. I'm going to buy a stainless steel pan and try it out because I haven't used one yet. So stainless steel is excellent for sautéing and browning food. It is durable and scratch resistant. It's also dishwasher safe, making it easy to clean. Number 3, carbon steel cookware. I haven't used carbon steel either. I might get one of each and then I can try cast iron, stainless steel and carbon steel. Carbon steel cookware, similar to cast iron, carbon steel pans develop a natural non-stick surface with seasoning and use. They are lighter than cast iron and can be great for tasks like searing and frying. Number 4, glass cookware. Glass baking dishes and casserole pans are non-reactive and safe for use in the oven. While they may not be suitable for stovetop cooking, they are excellent for baking and roasting. And then number 5, copper cookware. Copper pots and pans offer excellent heat conductivity, allowing for precise temperature control. However, they can be expensive and require regular maintenance to keep them looking their best. And then there were some other options, and I've put these in the sketchy choices category, because these were, when I did the research, these were supposedly alternatives to non-stick, but I don't think they're a very good idea. So the first one was stoneware, and initially I thought that was like some ancient traditional, like literally stones carved into pots or something, but it looks like an aluminium pan covered in some sort of, it's like speckled, it's like got like a speckled granite effect, and then it's non-stick as well. So I think that's just an aluminium pan covered in something and then covered in a non-stick coating. So yeah, stoneware, I don't really know about that one. Ceramic cookware. Ceramic cookware is a relatively new product. It has excellent non-stick properties, but the coating can be easily scratched. So again, if that's a new product, I thought ceramic had been around for a while, but with new things you got to worry that you got to question whether research will come out that they're not safe. And then the final one, which I definitely wouldn't use, this has always bugged me when I see these. Silicone cookware. Silicone is a synthetic rubber that is mainly used in baking ware and kitchen utensils. It does not stand up well to direct heat, so it's best suited for baking. Again, that's just plastic and rubber, and yeah, I don't fancy cooking in that. I remember my dad made a cake in a silicone baking tray, and it just didn't make sense to me. You're putting that, plastic should melt, shouldn't it, under high temperature? I know they've got plastics that withstand high temperature, but I don't like the idea of that, toxic chemicals. So boys, that's it. You might want to ditch your non-stick pan in favour of cast iron or steel, but do your own research, come up with your own answer. These videos are just laying the foundation, so we'll get the basics out the way: how to breathe, how to eat, how to hydrate, how to cook your food safely. Once they're done, you never have to think about them again. You just do that every time. They're just habits, but they're the foundations that nobody seems to learn. You think they'd teach you this in school. The first thing is, right, you're going to have to cook food. Don't do it in a toxic non-stick pan, or at least give you information so you can make your own mind up. But you don't. So we'll discuss that, get these bits out the way. So I'm liking making these videos as well, because I've been doing my research over the last few years, and where I've researched so many different things, you don't always implement them all fully. So like the non-stick pan was kind of wishy-washy. I was half doing it, half not. And in making these videos, I've got to re-look at the research and then make a decision, and then now I'm implementing it. So it's good. They say if you can teach someone something, then you know it fully. And these are helping me learn. So I hope they're helping you, and then I'm implementing these things now as well. So hope that helps. Have a good day. See you tomorrow.